In this video, I would like to talk to you a little bit about construction planes and projections. So, what's a construction plane? Well, a construction plane can, for example, be something as simple as this. So, simply a plane on the face of our cube. Now, a construction plane can also be, for example, going into a volume. So it cuts through it. Let's say actually we're going to create a diagonal here on top, and I create a diagonal there, and I push a line up. Then I could also cut this space into two construction planes, or for example there and there, 3. So let's say from the vanishing point through there going up, here I have another plane. Okay, so in a previous video, for example, we also covered how to mirror parts. So let's say I'm putting this line down here, and I'm going to create a nice line this way, there. Now I would like to mirror this line over. So for example, here it cuts actually this point. So that's good. So if we bring over a line, at least we know here is a point. But I don't really know where the start and end points are. So for example, let's see which technique we could use. So what's being cut here or there? Yeah, okay, so this for example works. So I'll bring this one over. You see there's this point, and then there, bring it over, so like a small repetition in projection, not projection, mirroring. So here's my start point, and this end point, when I draw a line to the vanishing point there, that for example ultimately will show me where to end this line, for example there. Okay, perfect. Now let's say I would like to bring this one up onto this face. So I would like to project it upwards. So how, for example, do I do this? Well, the easiest one obviously is connecting those lower points with the upper lines, because then there we projected this point on this lower edge onto the point on this upper edge. Okay. Now how, for example, do we find now the height here? And this is now where our box becomes really very handy. So it's not only that we can use it to subdivide a space, but we can basically project lines along it and feed it around. So what do I mean with feeding around? So check this one out. So this one would go to the vanishing point, but I stop there because here I'm hitting the edge of my box. And I could, for example, draw a line up, and I'm using a thinner line from the vanishing point, for example, move it over. Actually, here with a thicker line, I do the opposite to show you it will touch exactly at the same point. You see here I have again a construction plane. Now I found this upper line or ray, and that's very useful because that tells me where these vertical lines have to stop. And there now I have kind of like two rotated faces inside the cube, perfectly symmetrically mirrored over and foreshortening to the left vanishing point. And this was all done again by using construction planes and also the the edges, for example, of my cube to run lines across, and using my vanishing points, obviously. So let's make this a little bit more complicated. And let's say we are creating something like this. So maybe a straight line, something up, straight line, and down. Okay, so this shape I would like to be projected over onto this rectangle, because then I can extrude kind of like this profile into a surface. Because I'm using my start and end point of my cubes, I already have some of those points, but I don't really know where these points are actually over there. And that again is where my construction boxes or planes will come in very handy. So for example, I'm creating just vertical lines down, and let's do this again with a different color so you see it better. Okay, so you see now I projected this down here onto my bounding box, and then from there to the vanishing point I draw my lines. And you see then that at one point they will cut the lower part of my blue line of my bounding box. This one. Okay. Now I have the height. I need to figure out the height. So for example, here I can draw straight lines up, but I don't really know where are these points. I really have no idea knowing that. So there again, connecting this point to the vanishing point, you will see it tells me where, for example, this height point is. And here I have 2 points right above each other. So what I can do is from there to there, and here to there. And there I have point 1 and point 2. Perfect. So now I'm basically ready to connect these lines. There. So let's put in the rest. Oh, that we don't see. This we will see. And maybe with a thin pen, since that's a mesh line. Perfect. Okay, so no, not too bad. So let's say I would also like to project the midline over it. Yeah, for a moment, let's remove this one because we don't see it. So there I would create my diagonals. So here, for example, vertically straight down, that will work. And then from there through this midpoint on this rotated face, I have my midpoint because of the cutting of those 2 diagonals. Same here. And maybe let's mark this a little bit thicker. There you have, as you can see, my midpoints and the other sharper edges. Perfect. Now let's try the same with some organic shapes. So let's say I start here and make a nice arc this way. Okay. So I know already. I stop on this edge and this edge. So there are my start and my end points. Now, because I have such an organic curve, I just can't draw a line. I need multiple curves now. So I'm going to create myself a construction layer so I can hide them here and there. So maybe here I need 1 point. So from there I run a line through. And you see it cuts the blue line and it cuts my bounding box. So I go back, go over from here, go up, and there is my next point. There. Okay. Then let's make another one. So maybe let's say here. So going up, going back, going up, and there it is. Okay, next one. So you see a shape like this one to accurately project over actually requires a lot of construction planes and lines. And again, just don't eyeball it, don't trust your eye. Specifically when you're new to drawing, your eye will definitely fool you. Okay, so next one. Down here, now this is actually going along the diagonal, so I can make a line here, straight up. And it's there. Okay. So now I'm switching the direction because it's going to be easier. So I'm going to draw from here over. Whoa, wrong line. There, up to the box, back to the vanishing point, and there where it cuts. There is my next point. I'm going to do one more. From there to here, up, back, and up. There again, that touch, and there it is. Okay, so let's hide this. And you see, the more points you have, actually, the easier it will be to accurately predict how the curve has to flow. And take a look at that. That was actually quite good. So let's do this. A thicker line there. And some end lines. Zip, zip. And there we are. So whenever you have such a problem here, you see like there are a lot of lines. Little tip. This is your original drawing and you have this bounding box. Make yourself a copy of this bounding box and then put another sheet over so you can draw these lines. And then basically later put this sheet over this sheet. So let's say it would look actually like this. So you kind of can see these lines, and then you make those dots. And then the same basically you would do with this drawing. You trace all these lines and then you put it below this sheet, find all these dots, transfer them, and then accurately into your final drawing, when you have all these dots plotted down, then you can draw actually that shape. One of the really helpful books I learned when I was a student was actually Rapid Viz, and it was kind of new to me. But basically they said don't work on one sheet, work on multiple sheets. The goal is not to get everything done on one sheet of paper. You can use multiples. That increases your flexibility. It actually helps with clutter, prevents mistakes, and at the end, now the question is not about cheating or so, it's just a question about accuracy and efficiency, and at the end what really counts is just your end result and not necessarily how you got to there.